Hello, everyone. Just a quick note before we get started with the podcast. I recorded this live on Substack earlier today, and about halfway through, I thought my camera cut out. Apparently, what actually happened was my internet died. And so, while I did continue to rant and rave about the NBA playoffs, and a little bit about the WNBA, specifically the Dallas Wings and the relationship between Paige Beckers and Azzy Fudd. All that stuff is lost to time and I guess the internet or lack thereof. So what I've done here is I cut right after I was done talking about the Padres. The only thing that really got cut out was like 2 more minutes of lead in to my discussion with myself about the NBA playoffs. You're not really missing anything, but if you hear me talk about, I'm going to talk about the NBA playoffs and the WNBA, and then it never actually gets there, that's why. I will do another podcast tomorrow or Thursday where maybe I give my thoughts on the NBA playoffs and maybe I revisit the WNBA topic that no one heard except for me. And maybe I'll actually do it with a co-host or guest next time. We'll see. But I thought I had good thoughts on the San Diego Padres. And so I wanted to make sure that at least this 25 minutes or so of me talking by myself about these white hot San Diego Padres should go out in podcast form, if no other form. Thank you for listening.
Red moon forecast sent you. I go 10 her. Who sent you? 2 cents for the booth and again.
Welcome to the podcast. This is Bandwagon Beach. My name is John Gennaro, and as is typically the case lately, I am all alone. I'm streaming live on Substack, and I don't think anywhere else. So maybe there'll be people that jump in live and hit me with questions or thoughts or whatever. I think they're getting an email, a push notification now. It would take them some time to see that. Click on it. So I'm going to go under the assumption that no one's going to be here, or at least no one's going to be here anytime soon. And I didn't set up any kind of co-host or guest today, despite the fact that I wanted to for a number of different reasons that are not worth getting into. So I'm going to make a promise to the people that are listening or watching that I'm going to keep this short. I know that that's a promise that I make a lot and I don't always come through on, but I got a couple things in my favor. One, I tend to go long when I'm talking to someone else because I always need to get the last word in. And that's not going to be a problem today because guaranteed I'm going to get the last word in if I'm the only person here. And 2, there's not a ton to talk about. And my Padre thoughts are, we'll get into them. But I saw Craig Elston on Friday. We actually, we golfed 18 holes on Friday and, golfed pretty well. And it wasn't until like hole 8 or 9 that I realized that I hadn't asked Craig what his Padre thoughts were, which is funny because I spent, I don't know, a decade, 5 or 6 years, constantly asking Craig what his Padre thoughts were as the co-host of Padres Hot Tub. And so I asked him, but before he could answer, I was like, what are your thoughts on the Padres? I was like, but everything is going so well that I think everyone's thoughts on the Padres are that they're good, that the Padres are good, that the probably the hottest team in all of baseball is good, that the vibes are good. Why are the vibes good? Is it because Mike Shilt's gone? Maybe, but also it's probably just because they're winning a lot. Why are they winning? Because they're good. But I promise we'll get deeper into that. 3 things I want to talk about today. I'm going to leave the one that I am least confident in talking about for last. That is going to be just a little bit of WNBA talk. I'm going to try and give an entry point for people that have shied away from the WNBA in the past. And then before that, I'll give you some NBA playoff thoughts. But we're going to start with the Padres. I'm not going to talk about San Diego FC. I'm not I don't know how to put this. You know, there's been a lot of talk in the last few years about how the Padres were much more interesting to cover and to podcast about and all this stuff when they were bad. That, you know, covering a bad team and being angry about it, or being like, I know what's wrong with them, I know how to fix them, is more interesting than just being like, the team's good, guess it's good. But I'm not really that interested in a bad STFC team, which is weird. But they're just, I don't know. Maybe it's because season 1 they were good, and so that's my expectation. And with them not totally living up to it in season 2 so far, it's just disappointment. And I don't feel like I'm in a place to be angry about it. Although it does make me question some of the stuff that happened last season. Doesn't matter. I'm not talking about SDFC today. If I talk about SDFC sometime soon, it'll probably be with someone who knows the team a little better than I do, knows soccer a little better than I do, follows them a little bit closer than I do. That being probably Craig Elston or Alex Pena or someone else. But let's start with the Padres. Let's talk about the Padres, because I actually do think the Padres, as good as they are, baseball's hottest team is what I'm calling them without really digging into it, because they've won a ton of games. They have won, they had 8 wins in a row. They now are on a 2-game winning streak. Before that, they were on a 3-game winning streak before the 8-game streak. So they've done a lot of winning lately. They won their series in Boston. They won their series in Pittsburgh. They won their series against the Rockies. They swept all 4. They won their series against the Mariners. They swept all 3. They won their series against the Angels, and now they get a day off. Lovely, which was yesterday. Now they have a 3-game series in Colorado, which, again, they just swept the Rockies. And while the Rockies look like they're not quite as pathetic as maybe they've been in recent years, they're still not quite where they need to be to challenge the Padres. So another series win would not be surprising. Another sweep, despite it being in Colorado, would not be surprising. And then the Padres get another day off before they travel down to Mexico City for a 2-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks on Saturday and Sunday. And then they come home and they play 3 games against the Cubs. This is just a delight. Like, the Padres are this good. They feel complete in an incomplete way. I'll get back to that in a second. And they're still getting time off, so it's not like a grueling grind of a season yet. What I like the most about the Padres right this second is that they are not all playing their best baseball. And like, this has been my complaint about the Padres for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, that it's been so rare that all of their players are all playing well at the same time. I'd wager to say it almost never happens. Maybe has not ever really happened. And right now, you would look at the Padres, you'd be like, man, everything's going their way. It's just win after win after win. And they're putting up all these runs. I mean, in just the last few games, they scored 2 runs. They scored 4 runs. They lost 8-0 to the Angels. There was an emotional Garen Anderson remembrance night after he passed. They scored 5, 7, and 4 against the Mariners. They scored 7, 9, 5, and 7 against the Rockies. They scored 8, 1, and 5 against the Pirates. They scored 8, 3, and 2 against the Red Sox. I mean, this is a team that for a very long time I've gotten used to the idea of if they can score more than 2 runs, they're probably going to win. But it was not often that they were scoring more than 2 runs. And that was 2-3 weeks worth of stuff that I just went through. And it's like, for the most part, they're above 2 runs every game. They're above 4 runs most of these games. I think all of the wins except for this last one against the Angels was 2-1. And there's one against the Red Sox that's 3-2. All of the other wins, they've scored 4 runs or more. So the offense is finding ways to score. But Freddie Fermin has not been very good. Jake Cronenworth, who is I'm wearing on my shirt today, has not been very good and is now, I guess, injured after getting hit in the face with a fastball. And Nick Castellanos, the $20 million man, who early on in the season, I was like, I like Nick. Nick's giving tough at bats. He's getting clutch hits. He's whatever. He's batting 163. His on base percentage is 217. He's got 0 home runs. So he's got 12 strikeouts and 3 walks. Like, he's been bad. And, after the career he's had, you could easily make arguments that Castellanos has been bad because he's an everyday player and he's not used to the idea of not playing every day. And he's not used to the idea of coming off the bench cold for pinch hit opportunity. Doesn't matter. He's been bad. Not everything has worked. Gavin Sheets has been fine. Xander Bogaerts has been probably better than fine. Manny Machado has been a disappointment. Fernando Tatis Jr. has been fine. He still has 0 home runs. Jackson Merrill's been great. Although his OPS plus is only 84. He's only batting 221. But he's been great. Like, I'm just going off eye test. He's been great. Ramon Laureano has been great. Miguel Andujar, that's been a really good signing. Ty France has been really good, really above what expectations would be for Ty France. Off the bench as a first baseman, and Luis Campusano has been awesome. I've been saying for the last week or so that, like, I think Luis Campusano is actually going to steal the starting spot away from Freddie Fermin, and put the Padres in like an uncomfortable position where now they got to sign him past this year, because I think he's a free agent after this year. We're about to find out. 1 year, $900,000 contract. Oh no, he's got 2 more arbitration years after this one. I would not be shocked if he were the starting catcher kind of right now. He has started in 4 of the last 6 games at catcher for the Padres. Part of that is because Freddie Fermin picked up like a concussion and missed a couple games due to injury, but like, even he's started a game since then. So he's back, and there was Luis Campusano starting on Sunday. So it's already at a point where it's like 50-50 and teetering towards Campusano, because he has shown himself to be a capable defender, a good hitter. Like, his OPS plus is, 132. If he were a starter, he would be the best hitter in the lineup so far this year. OPS plus 132 is the highest of any hitting Padre right now. And he's also been kind of a bit of a wizard or a savant, or use whatever, insulting or not insulting adjective to describe how good Luis Campusano has been at ABS, and, turning balls into strikes and all that stuff from behind the dish, wearing the catcher's gear. So I think there's probably some real conversation going on right now about, like, all right, well, if Campy's going to stay hot, we're going to keep playing Campy, unless Freddie Fermin gives us something to change our mind. And Freddie Fermin, who I think has proven himself for years now to be a very capable Major League Baseball backup catcher, showed after the Padres traded for him and made him their starting catcher, and wore down that he might not physically be able to be a starting catcher in Major League Baseball. And now he's showing that he just might not be good enough. He might not be good enough to be a starting catcher in Major League Baseball. And that would be a real problem if the Padres had let Campusano walk, or if they had traded him away. But the bet on Campusano has really worked out, and that's just been one of like several different bets that has worked out for them, that has put them in this advantageous position. Let's go through some pitchers that's working out for them. Michael King, who I thought genuinely was concerned that he was injured and that he would prove himself to be injury prone yet again this year. Nope. He's been great. 5 starts, ERA of, where do they even keep ERA? 2.28, ERA plus of 179, FIP of 367. I mean, he's been Michael King. He's been phenomenal. I saw him on Sunday when I went up to Anaheim and saw the Padres play the Angels up there. Randy Vasquez, he's been just about as good as Michael King. ERA of 2.49, ERA plus a 164. I know it was a little shaky the last time out, but he's almost at one pitching WAR, and it's April. German Marquez looked really good the last time I saw him. Like, I know the numbers are not great, and I know that first start was an adventure, and the Padres were like, well, he's tipping his pitches, and that's why, and now we got him sorted out. And to be honest, he's looked good since then. Walker Buehler, every time I see him, he looks a little better. And yeah, he has run out of gas at the end of his last two starts. But until the point that he runs out of gas, he's been really good. He might just be a really good 5-inning pitcher now. That is way more than anyone thought the Padres were getting from Walker Buehler when they signed him. Same thing with Marquez. If you told the Padres when they signed German Marquez and Walker Buehler that each one of those guys would be a plus above average fifth starter, fourth starter that could give you 5 good innings, like you could count on them to give you 5 good innings every time out, and that occasionally they'd be good enough to get you 6, and occasionally maybe they'd be, they would go out in the 4th or something like that. I think the Padres would love that. I think they'd be very happy with that. They'd be thrilled with that. Mason Miller's been everything that you could possibly hope for. Bradley Rodriguez has been everything you could possibly hope for. Adrian Morejon, outside of I think 1 bad start, maybe 2. Sorry for the barking dog in the background. I'm just going to let her go. She'll tire herself out. Morejon has been great recently, especially. Wandy Peralta has been good when called upon. Kyle Hart has been way better than I thought he could be. Bullpen's been good. Jason Adams come back. He's looked good. The only real concern here is like, how injured is Pivetta? They need him. Is Joe Musgrove ever coming back? They need him. Like, eventually they're just going to run out of arms to throw these innings. Is Griffin Canning coming back? How good will he be when he does so? Matt Waldron, real shaky. Replacing Nick Pivetta in the starting rotation the first time through. Would not really love to see him starting another game, but you might not have any options because you might just be running out of starting pitchers, which is the thing that we've been worrying about for, a while now with this San Diego Padres team. But by and large, like, guys are performing, guys are playing. And like, I was thinking about it this morning, last year's team and the year before's team, like, they would score 1 or 2 runs in the early innings, maybe. And then once it got to like the 6th, 7th inning and the other team was bringing in their bullpen, was usually when I was like, well, that's it. They're not scoring anymore. And this team has really kind of been the opposite of that. Like, they're still getting the 1 or 2 runs early on in the game. But like, when they go to the bullpen, I should look up their splits. When they go to the bullpen, I feel like this offense gets much better. Hold on. Game outcome, starter or sub. All right. This is whether or not they start. Okay. I want to see if I can find them going against a starting pitcher or reliever. It's got to be in here, right? Game conditions, ballparks. Well, I guess not. Anyway, I think this team and its hitting approach has been really good, despite the no home runs for Tatis, despite the struggles for Machado. I like the team. I like the vibes. It really does seem like they're having fun. It's a lot less grindy. It's a lot less business-like and more fun. I don't exactly know how they're doing that. I don't exactly know how Craig Stammen is doing that, but like, I was telling everyone, I was like, the hope with Craig Stammen is that he can make up for his lack of experience as a manager, where I think he's been fine. He's made some mistakes, but I think he's been fine. And I tend to believe that he'll learn from those mistakes and he'll get better. But the gamble was always, you can make up for the lack of experience, lack of managerial experience with the vibes. Everyone's going to feel good. everyone's going to like come into the ballpark. Everyone's going to feel heard. There's not going to be heat between teammates. There's not going to be anyone, grumbling and muttering to themselves in the corner of the clubhouse about, not getting the opportunity or screw this guy or coach hates me. None of that. And I thought that was a crazy thing for them to not outright promise, but with this team, this very moody team led by Manny Machado, who I love him. I'm gonna love when he gets a statue at Petco Park someday. I genuinely hope he gets a ring with the Padres. He's just a grump. He's just a grump. So am I. Like, it's okay. Some people are just grumps. He's a grump. And Tatis has been moody for years. And right now, Machado doesn't seem like he's grumpy. I know they're winning. He doesn't seem like he's grumpy. He doesn't seem like he's fighting against it. It doesn't seem like he's trying to wrestle control of the team away from anybody. It seems like the team is kind of following the lead of Jackson Merrill a little bit, which is like almost best case scenario for the San Diego Padres and their current and their future. I don't know. It so far is working out exactly as AJ Preller hoped it would, with the exception of the Pivetta injury. And I'm sure he, hoped that Tatis would be playing better and Machado would be playing better. But everything he thought when he made the decision to hire Craig Stammen to be the manager of this team, everything he thought about in terms of 2026, so far he's been right. The thing about baseball, this is why Buddy Black always says that's baseball, is it is a long enough season with enough time, at bats, pitches thrown, things happening, that eventually everything happens. Yeah, you have a good time and you win a bunch of games, but eventually you're going to have a bad time. You're going to lose a bunch of games. You have a few weeks where you're healthy. You're going to have a few weeks where you're not. It's just, that's baseball. Everything happens. And you can build a team like the Dodgers that is built to handle anything and everything happening because they have so much talent and they have so much depth. And if 3 guys are injured, that's okay because the 6 that remain are in the lineup are all-stars, right? And 2 of your starting pitchers are hurt. That's why you have 8 that would be a top 2 or 3 starter on any other baseball team. The Padres are not really built that way. So I can't imagine it's going to be like this all year long. So appreciate it while it is, and appreciate that this is in them somewhere. And like, if they lose it and they go through a tough spell at some point, like maybe Stammen's the guy who can continue to bring them back to this point, continue to bring them back to the point where they're having fun and they're feeling free and they're not stressing and they're not tight. And because I think all that stuff is really important. And like, this is going to be, I listen to Bill Simmons sometimes, and Bill Simmons calls himself the body language doctor. And he talks a lot about body language, and he goes to games so he can watch body language. And like, I went to that game on Sunday. A friend of mine had an extra ticket. We drove up together, and the ticket it was a great seat. It was just a few rows up in right field. And we got there, and I think it was the bottom of the first inning. And I sit down, and I see Bryce Johnson in right field. And I'm like, oh, man, I really, really wanted to see Tatis. Like, he's the most talented player on the team, if not like in baseball outside of Shohei Ohtani. And I really wanted to see Tatis. And if we were going to have tickets in right field, I really wanted to see Tatis do his thing in right field. And I was like, that's a bummer. Like, it's his day off. And then we get to the top of the next inning and Tatis comes up. And I'm like, is he playing DH today? Is this the Mike Schilt thing of like, give him a day off his feet and he gets to DH today? And then they go back in the field and I see Tatis run out of the dugout and run to second base. And I'm like, oh, we're doing that again. I was like, that makes sense. Cronenworth got hit in the face. And Sun Myung Song, by the way, crushing it. like quietly, secretly crushing it in AAA. My guess right this second is that for like cultural shock reasons, the team is trying to wait until they get back from Mexico before they bring him up. Kind of seeing what was happening with that Astros pitcher who came up, and he was like, culturally, I don't really know what's going on, and like even the baseball is different, and how you train here is different, and I don't have any friends that can help me when things are getting down. Like, I think the rest of baseball looked at their international players and they were like, we need to be more careful with these guys. And the Dodgers have always been very thoughtful about that. I think the Padres are pretty thoughtful about it too. And I think that's why Song is not up yet, because he's been playing for the Chihuahuas for a few games now, and I mean, just the batting average is good, the on base percentage is really good, the fielding from what I've heard is very good. He'll be up soon, but like that's their option right now. Their option for backup second baseman is Fernando Tatis Jr. And I got to tell you, he looked like he was having the time of his life. I mean, there was a bounce in his step. And like, what's crazy is you hear, you read, you see the post-game interviews where people are like, hey man, no home runs. Like, it's April 20th, 21st. What are you doing? No home runs. And he's like, I know. I go home and I think about it. Like, what the heck is going on? How have I not hit a home run yet? And I think a year ago, we're like, man, Tatis is like, he can't figure out his swing. He can't figure out the home runs. He can't figure this. He's going to be mopey. He's going to be depressed. He's going to be, I can't live up to everyone's expectations. The second base thing is so, like, I know I talked about it like a week ago when I did a podcast. It's so smart. It's so smart. And it would have been smart if it wasn't working, but it's working. And I don't mean it's working in the sense of like it is waking up Tatis's bat and all of a sudden he's hitting home runs. No, it's working in that he is getting out of his own head and he's doing something that is allowing him to be a little bit more engaged on the defensive side. He's doing something that's asking him to be more of an athlete and less of a robot. Because it's not like, hey, here comes this ball that you've practiced handling 1 billion times because you've been a second baseman for a decade. It's like, hey, here's a new thing that you've probably not experienced before in your life, or at least very limited times. So solve this. And he just looks like he's having so much fun playing second base. And I know that that's like, if they just turn him into a second baseman, eventually he would just go back to being the guy that we know he is. But for right now, this new challenge, this new adventure, this new like ask of him, it really seems like it's lightening the mood. It's showing everyone that the superstar is willing to buy in and do what the manager wants of him. I can't say enough great things about what Craig Stammen has done in his first month as manager of the regular season San Diego Padres. And it's just, I don't know how much longer the good times are going to roll. I hope that the Padres show up in Colorado and they hit 1 billion home runs, and Tatis is a part of that. And I hope they go down to Mexico City and they hit 1 billion home runs, because the air is, I think, even thinner in Mexico City than it is in Colorado. And then they'll probably come back and they'll hit a bunch of pop flies in San Diego, because sometimes, the old adage of like, when you enter the home run derby, it screws up your swing for a little bit. You go and you play 5 games on the moon, you come back, your swing's probably going to be a little different. I'm not going to worry about it. If their offense dies against the Cubs at Petco Park when they come back, I'm not going to worry about that much. I think they'll figure it out. But I feel not just confident, I feel a kinship with this team. I like them. I like the personality of this team is something that I pay attention to a lot. And for the last 2 years, I've been like, what is the personality of this team outside of Mike Schilt yelling at reporters and talking about grit? And this team feels like it has a personality, and that personality seems to be that of like, man, it's really fun to be a baseball player. And like, that's so cool. And it just goes to show you that like the stuff that we worry about, like Stammen, like, hey, you're a middle reliever. How are you going to relate to a guy like Tatis, who's a a superstar who plays every day. Guess he's got it covered. So I don't know. Again, Padre takes are really boring right now because no one's going to go out here and be like, I'm mad about this team that can't stop winning. And and everyone has the same take when they win, which is like, man, winning's awesome. So there we go. Winning's awesome. I probably could save 27 minutes and just said that.
Who sent you?
Girls and boys, I duck the world. The world's annoyed. It wants to whine. I bear no cross so I don't get cross when you cross the line. I don't complain about the cost of life. Coronet, go ahead, turn off the lights. Landlord, go ahead, hike up the rent. I'll be sitting in the dark till sleeping on the bench, but I can't see stars. Light pollution. My solution? Pull the plug. Hack the system.